We are live. It's showtime. Wow, it is so lovely to be here, back with Eden Project Communities for the Festival of Discovery. My name is Mo, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of crafting with you today. We are live. It's been a little while since I went live, but that just means if there's any technical difficulties or anything, it's all part of the beautiful live process. So I'm so delighted to be here and part of the Festival of Discovery. There's so many amazing things happening, such a huge online event. And I'm really delighted to be here and sharing a little bit of making with you on this. Actually, it's quite nice today on this Friday morning. So my name is Mo, and I'm an artist based at the moment in Scotland, but I'm just about to move to Ireland. And I have a real passion and interest in like making things from the natural world. So I hope that you've had a little chance to maybe collect some things, or that this will be an inspirational session for you to see how you can totally make things from the world that you found. We're going to be looking at found objects. We're going to be looking at recycled objects as well. So if you have any questions, you can pop them in the comments, and I will try and read them at the end, because I will lose my thoughts and things if I keep checking in on them. But do ask any questions, and I can always follow up after as well. So what are we making today? What are we making today? Today we are making some wind charms. And the idea is I'm going to show you the kind of base version, and then you can customize it however you like. So you might have a particular idea of what you'd like to do with it, but I'm going to show you one method of doing it, and then you can take it away and do whatever you like. So yeah, we're going to look at found things, and we're also going to look at recycling things. The Festival of Discovery is all about looking at how we can work together for a better future for our planet. And for me as an artist, it's the beauty and the wonder of the world that keeps me passionate and gives me all the exciting things as an artist I want to make. And I think that that's really the core for me, is if you're looking around and you're seeing the beauty, then you're going to want to get out there and keep kind of cultivating it. So what we might do is just go through what I have here, the practical things that you'll need to make these wind charms. And I'll talk a little bit about each one, and then we'll get started actually making it. So I'm going to go through the practical things first. Definitely when you're looking for materials, when you go out gathering, think about turning trash to treasure. So I started off with some cardboard. What I have here is a little bit of, this is sort of standard packaging cardboard, a bit brown, but nothingy, but totally like what would you use that for? I had some delicious desserts the other day, and they came in a kind of cardboardy box that I'd usually recycle. So you need some cardboard, and I have pre-cut these into squares. So a little note on safety as we go along. If you are a young person, a small person, then you should have a grown-up person with you. Maybe you have things pre-made, or you could get someone to kind of pre-make these things for you. And really, I think collaborating together as a group, I really love to make things together. So I think that's an important note, is to make sure you always have somebody to help you out with that kind of thing. And then I have some, well, this is yarn, some string. And I said in my kind of instructional notes to make sure it was 40 centimeters. That was not, like, I think if you get your arm and you kind of stretch it out, what I mean is don't have a teeny weeny bit of string. You want a really nice long piece of string. And that string could be a bit of thread. It could be, I don't know, what have I got here? The kind of cotton twine, bit of washing line, something like that. Some nice bit of wool yarn is always good, so you need that as well. And you might want different colors and different lengths and things. I've just got this at the moment. I also have with me some decorative things. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but I have 3 colors that I thought looked really nice together. So I've kind of got this purpley color, this greeny color, and a highlighter because I like bright pink. Cool. And you will also need a sharp pencil. This is for making holes. Again, when we get to that part, that will be when you maybe look to your grown-up person and get them to do that hard work for you. But yeah, you'll need a sharp pencil. Okay, so those are the practical things. That's kind of your structural element for this wind charm sculpture. Now, let's talk about the found things that I have. And I was quite excited to get these, actually. I had a lovely time looking for things. Oh, actually, yeah, look, I've got this is the darning wool that I use. So it's nice. We'll talk about that. It's 100% wool. This is quite important. depending on where you're going to put your sculpture. Okay, so I went on a walk and I found this had been snapped off, and this is a bit of, someone will have to, I think it's elm. I think it's elm because it's got this, or it could be ash. Oh, I'm not so good at that, but I was walking along and I thought, oh, that's a good shape. And it's a nice size as well. And this is an important time to think about safety. Like we were talking about the safety of making the holes. If you're gathering materials and you're looking out into nature, it's really important to do it carefully, not just for the environment, but for you as well. So thinking about where you're gathering things. Are they on the ground? Have they been stepped on? Is it clean? Always thinking of washing your hands. I'm sure we're all really great at washing our hands now, but I got this and it was kind of off to one side in a little bit of grass, and I've let it dry out. And before I touch anything that I'm going to eat, I will wash my hands. But I think as a craft material, this looks pretty clean. And then, I went to the beach as well, because I'm very, very lucky to have a beach nearby. And I found this razor clam piece. So that's a kind of shell. And what I really liked about that is there's a little, bits falling off of it. There's a little hinge. So it has this really lovely kind of shape. And it also makes a nice noise. I was keen on that. So when you're looking and you're gathering things, you're looking for objects, the really nice thing to do is to take a moment just to really appreciate all the beautiful things that we have in our environment, especially at the moment. So autumn is my favorite season because the colors that we have. So I think autumn's a bit of a theme for me and my wind chime. I found this sycamore leaf. I hope you can see it in the color. It's bright yellow. It's just starting to dry there, but I really love the shape and the movement of this. I think it's really lovely. So while I'm looking through my things, if you have anything with you, just take this time to maybe pick them up. Before I make any sculptures with any material, I kind of want to go through each piece that I've found and start to really kind of get to know it. So you pick it up and you kind of examine it. I mean, look at that. Oh, no. There we are. Look at that patterning. Really, really, really beautiful. So it might be the shape that you like about the thing that you found. It might be the pattern on it, but really taking some time to kind of look at each piece. So I've got another beautiful stick there. Found that at the beach. And the other thing to think about when you're picking up materials from the world, from found materials, is not to damage the environment by taking anything. So if you are going to take, say, something from the beach, thinking about being careful about where you are. Are you in an area of natural protection where you shouldn't take things from beaches? Other things safe to take, that kind of thing, especially if you're looking at plants, trying not to break off anything from plants, looking at gathering things that have fallen down. And actually, so I got this piece here as well. I really like the way that the leaves are still on, but you still have a piece of stick. It's just been very, very windy where I am. So the ground is covered in all sorts of things, but it's just keeping in mind how to keep yourself safe, keep the environment safe, and still kind of celebrate it in that way. So I also looked around my house and thought, well, what have I got? And I found this beautiful bit of fabric. Oh, it's so pretty. Yes. And what would I do? I was like, well, I'd probably just throw this away, recycle it, recycle it definitely. But surely there's a second life for this beautiful pattern in there somewhere. I also found a plastic bag that we've been using for the recycling that we thought we'd probably get rid of. And I washed it and I thought, well, I quite like this pattern. So as soon as you start to look at the environment and think, oh, what could I use? What could that have a second life? Can I make something out of that? So hopefully you've had a chance to kind of have a think about what you've got with you. And you've thought about your best practice. Made sure you've got everything's clean, everything's dry, hands are washed. It's always good. So we're going to start off making our base, the thing that's kind of going to hold everything before we get started. So that's where you take your piece of cardboard, pre-cut, or you need to cut it into a kind of this size. And we're going to start just with a rectangle, but you might want to use a different shape. And you want to take your sharp pencil and make 2 marks, one on each end. You can see I've made marks there. And then you want to take your pencil and give it to your grown-up person and make them do this hard bit for you. But you can use a hole punch. You could use, I mean, your grown-up could use a pair of scissors, but I think this is really easy. You just push through and then you have a hole. There we go. And then you push through. And if you twist it, it kind of softens the hole. And then you'll have a kind of front and back. So that's the back. It's a bit rougher. And that's the front. And then you should have a piece of card that looks just like this. Now, that's not the most exciting piece of cardboard I've ever seen. So I'm going to take my pens. These are shaky pens, but you could have anything. And when I was thinking about this, you could collage this part, you could paint on it, you could use stickers, you could find a piece of cardboard that you maybe like packaging these days when people send things. Oh, you get beautiful colors. You might find a box that looks lovely. So just really, again, thinking about how that material that's been made to throw away could actually have a second life as something beautiful. So I'm just going to do a little design on this. I think with the theme of the outdoors, I'm going to do some leaves. There's lots of leaves on the ground here at the moment. All different colors. They don't all go yellow. Some of them go orange. It's kind of it's quite a magical time of the year before all of the leaves leave us till next year. Okay, because I'm talking, just done some leaves. So I'm doing this quickly, but you could take as long or as short on this as possible. And I've just, I might add some flowers. And that's the idea, I think, especially when you're working on stuff, is if you keep looking at it, so take a step back, say, actually, that green just wants a little bit extra. Okay. Ta-da. Okay, so you'll have this, and then you'll take your thread and your thread length, and then look at the materials that you've got. And you want to find your biggest thing or your heaviest thing. You might not have any heavy things. You might be doing just leaves. You might just have pieces of fabric. You might just have buttons. Oh, I forgot to show you this button actually. Yeah. I found this in the bottom of my sewing box, and there's only one. And I was like, what am I going to do with this? And then I realized it's really cool, and I'm going to add it to this. So you just want to look at what you have and choose either your largest or your heaviest thing. And I think I'm going to go with this beautiful twig. So this, I think, it's small, but it's quite dense. So it's quite, when I put it in my hand, it kind of feels quite heavy. And what you want to do is take your thread and take your object, and then find the middle if you can. It might be quite obvious. It might not be that obvious. And you want to just do a really basic knot and just tie the string to the middle of your object if it has a middle. Now, this is where you can get really creative. So for something like this, the middle would be here, but I would tie it to this part. Or with something like a piece of fabric, you'd sort of squish it in the middle. This is where getting to know your materials is really, really important, because it'll help you kind of work out how you're going to. But we'll start with something like this, a nice stick, and we'll tie. And if you need a hand, extra pairs of hands could be really useful for tying knots. Here we go. Beautiful. And don't worry about any extra threads or anything that I've got here, an extra thread. You can just snip that off later or get somebody to tidy it up. But at the moment, we're just looking for, yeah, there we go. And the reason why it's good to have something heavy at the bottom is it gives it a nice movement. And if it's the biggest thing, that also helps it kind of draw, it's got the biggest part at the bottom. Okay, so now I've got this very long piece here, and I've got my card, and eventually this will be at the top. Oh, see, it's way too long. This will be at the top, and this will be further down. So if you've cut your string really, really, really long, you might want to snip it down at this point. Or if you've not got enough string, you can always tie on another piece and add it on. So it's just a good idea to take this moment to have a think. Now, are you going to have a theme? How are you going to add things now that you've got this pendulum point at the bottom? Are you going to add things going up? I think for me, I'm going to tie on this shell. But if you lay them down, it's harder to show you, but if you lay them down on the ground, you can keep adding things. Now, when I was thinking about this, I thought, oh, well, actually, you could add things with all sorts of different materials. So I got some little bull clips clippy clips, or I don't have a washing line, but if you had a washing line, you probably have old pegs. You can peg things on, and then you could change things. But at the moment, I'm just going to tie it on. So I just somewhere slightly further up, I'm going to just, and it's helpful actually. This is quite helpful. Oh, it's lovely. Beautiful. Okay, I'm actually quite happy with that. It just does it by itself. And this is one of the really lovely things about working with unexpected materials that you found is whatever you make is going to be so unique because nobody has ever used that material in that way before. So what you will do will be completely different and unique to other people. So you can think of what's called your composition. That's like the way you're putting things together. And when you're happy with it, you're going to take that pencil again and the sort of hanging card, and that will help you get your thread through the hole. If you kind of hold if you're having trouble putting it through, if you've made a nice big hole and you've got a thin thread, and then you don't need to worry about it. But I've got a smaller hole, thicker thread, poke it through, and there you have it. So I've just made this very quickly. I hold it back. Oh yeah, quite keen on that actually. There's something, and you start to see how you can kind of arrange these things. So you can tie that off there and then hang it up however you like. And when I was thinking about these wind charms, you could have them that they clinked and made sounds, like like the metal wind charms that kind of make a little ding-ling-ling noise. Or you could do all sorts of different things. I think the main thing I would encourage you all to do is enjoy. You've got to really have a good time. It's such an enjoyable thing to do as well, but really these make great gifts for people. They make really lovely things to bring the outside inside. So if you're looking at all the colors of the leaves and you want to bring a little bit of that inside, it's a really great way to do that. You could also make bunting. I had a thought of this where you could have your string and you could hang things down and make a kind of garland. I wanted to just say, if you are going to put things outside, because I think these would look really beautiful, maybe hanging in your garden or, outside along if you don't have a garden, I don't have a garden. So, just outside my window or something like that, you have to be quite careful about what materials you're using. So when I said that this thread that I was using was pure wool, I think that's an important point. If you're going to hang things up, think about things being cardboard, things being without plastic, so not acrylic yarn, something like that. It's all cotton, all natural, because if any of it were to fly away, that would then become rubbish. So being mindful of what you put outside and what should go inside. Okay, so just thinking about, compostable. So actually, I never got to use this beautiful bit of fabric, and I want to just show you. If you have little scraps of fabric like this and you'd like to give them a nice new life, just give them a little, if you have a square, you just give it a little fold and kind of scrunch it up, but nice and long ways. I'm going to add this to my piece. You might want to turn it into a little bow, and it's actually really easy to do that. You just sort of scrunch it as long as it remains long, and then give it a tie in the middle. Now I would use my button, but in the chaos of the desk that you can't see, I have lost it. So while I'm finishing this, I want to talk about a couple of other sessions I really am excited about and I think everybody would enjoy. Tomorrow morning at, let me check that, 9:15, there's going to be a junk orchestra. What is a junk orchestra? How can I get involved? That sounds incredible and really follows along with some of the themes we've chatted about today. How can you turn junk into treasure, into musical instruments? Oh, amazing. And then one of the other themes we've talked about is this idea of getting to know your objects and taking time with nature. Another really great way of doing that is mindfulness. And there's a session tomorrow at 1:00 and about nature and mindfulness for young people, for children. I would really recommend. Mindfulness has transformed the way that I create art in taking time with the materials that I use. So I think tomorrow there's going to be a whole host of fun things. I'm also back tomorrow. I'm making some dream catchers and some different another take on sort of wind chimes. wind catchers, and I'm also going to be doing recycled bird feeders for more grown-up hands. Okay, it's a very simple bow. While I've been talking, I have also managed to do this, multitasking, and I'm just going to add that on before I say farewell for today. It's so lovely to be back with Eden Project Communities on the Festival of Discovery. There's so much hope and creativity and exciting things to be learned out there and join up. I hope you've had a fun time listening to me snaffle on today about my things I enjoy doing. Ooh, and now you have to hear me because it's always good to work on a table, but then you just get me kind of chatting away to myself. And if you have any pictures of the things that you've made, oh my goodness, I would love, love, love to see them. You can always just pop them in the comments or follow up with us after, because these can look so different and so unique. I think we would just love, love, love to see how everyone's interpreted the theme. Oh, now there's that trick again of getting something that's too thick through a small hole. If you sort of lay it over and poke it through with a pencil, you want to keep things nice and neat if you can. Okay, so I'm quite happy with that, actually. I think it looks really nice. I'm just going to snip off. Something about finishing touches always make things nice and perfect. That's what I like. And of course, these are adaptable, so you could sort of add things as you go along. Yeah, oh, cool. Okay, can I lean back far enough for you to see? And my kitchen. So I have this beautiful branch at the bottom, and I love how as soon as you hang it up, you get this movement to it. And I've got this. So ideas, you can have another piece of cardboard where I added more holes. So you could have, more hangings as you go along, different patterns, different things. Really, I think this is just a really simple idea to kind of get your creativity going. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of the Festival of Discovery. Again, my name is Mo, and I've had such a lovely time thinking about this and thinking about how you can really get to know some materials and make something beautiful out of them. So I hope you all have a beautiful day, and I will be back again tomorrow. Bye.